We have some absolutely huge news for New World today. There's going to be an expansion, we're going to have season passes. I mean, this dev update is absolutely insane. Let's show you the new roadmap and let's talk about it. So there is so much to discuss that it's absolutely crazy. You're going to have to bear with me on this one, but this is the new roadmap. You can see quite clearly there is going to be an expansion. You can also see where we talk about seasons, Fellowship and Fire, Blood of the Sands. Then it just says season 3 because they're not giving us the name. But this expansion bit sounds like it's going to be a proper paid expansion. Yeah, we have some really big things. So let's start at the start, shall we? There's going to be new seasons. These are actually going to be season passes as well. So you're going to have 2 reward tracks, they said. One that is basically a free season. And then if you pay, you can get like an extra reward track, basically. And they did mention better roll odds. So you could argue that this is actually the start of a little bit of pay to win. But let's not talk about that right now because we don't really know too much about it. The only thing that's really new in this spring patch that we didn't know about is this season story. But I mean, we sort of expected them to push on them with the story anyway. We did get some details, but let's just move on for now. Season 2, obviously we're going to get transmog and stuff like that. They mentioned that there's going to be these new season trials, so I'm guessing these are only going to be around for that season. That one's going to be a 10-person battle. That's along with the Sandworm Elite trial, which is obviously going to be the hard trial that they're talking about. That's when we're going to get Cross-World Outpost Rush and a couple of extra things. Now, one thing they've mentioned that isn't actually on here, we are getting a new arena map. It's going to alternate, so they're not going to be both live at the same time. Basically, they're going to make the new one and that will be the default arena for a while, and then they will bring the old one back and they'll sort of rotate. Season 3, right above my head, you can see we're going to get main story quest updates, perk balance updates, seasonal and world events, territory influence updates. That's not PvP influence, that's like the whole territory system, you know, I think it goes up to like 300. I'm presuming that's what it means. And obviously a season pass. There's a season pass for each season. Now in the expansion, which they have at the end of fall, so pretty much the end of this year, yes, we have a new story. They say a zone transformed. I'm thinking they're just going to rework almost the entire map to some extent. I don't really know exactly, but they do say new expedition. Obviously we're going to get a new one, but we're going to get mounts. That's really the big one there, and that's when they're going to bring in the new weapon. Key thing here, a gear score increase. So can I just say that my bet is fulfilled? I said that they would announce an expansion and it would do these kind of things and it would probably come out at the end of this year. It looks like I'm going to be right on that one. Then after that, they have season trials with mutators, a seasonal trinket, which they did talk about briefly. Basically, that's going to be how you affect these mutators. More main story quest update, more expeditions, more world events, cross-world arenas and expeditions coming basically winter or early next year, effectively. Yeah, like that's pretty much everything, and it's absolutely insane. Now, they didn't actually show off any footage of anything interesting. They just had the roadmap, and them talking all the way through is effectively them talking, which is fine. But, you know, not much I can really show you. So let's go through some of the things that they actually spoke about. We'll talk about the season pass cost and all that kind of good stuff. Well, all bad stuff. So the first one is we said it's going to be Fellowship and Fire. That's season 1. They said there's going to be a bunch of content relating to the season. And of course, it is going to get a season pass, one that you can pay for. That's going to be about $20, they said. And as I mentioned, they did mention better roll odds. So there is possibly now a discussion of whether or not this game is going to go a little bit in the pay to win category. I don't think it's going to be that bad myself, but alarm bells will be ringing for quite a few players. They say they will then build on the seasons. There's going to be a narrative following the Grace of Marley storyline. Not too much into the story at the moment, but that sounds interesting. The Imperium Forge is definitely going to be fire-based effectively. All the bosses sound like they're going to be using fire mechanics. They did speak about events, and I know events are a little bit of a sensitive issue considering the event today was not very well received because it was a little bit bland. But small events and big events are coming. The small events like the Rabbit is coming back, for example, and the big event like the Summer Medley Fair, that's also going to come back. I think they mentioned one new event that was some sort of like spring-based thing that's not just a Springtide Bloom event. There was something else, but I'm not 100% sure what that was. As we mentioned with the season pass, it's going to have 2 reward tracks. I think there's 100 levels. There's the free reward track, which you'll just get like by playing normally, and then there's the paid one, and you'll get better rewards basically. Generally, it sounds like they're going to primarily be cosmetic, but as I said, they mentioned better rewards. Outpost rush scoring is going to be getting changed. Effectively, they want you to stay on the point more. You're not going to be able to shoot the doors from ranged, and they're thinking about making it so there's a shield around Baroness, so you also can't sniper. The PvP reward track is going to get juiced up, basically just better rewards all around, and they did say there's going to be less RNG involved, which I've got to say has me interested. They said like every 5th track, you'll get better rewards. You'll actually get a piece of decent gear. Okay, let's see that in action. They also mentioned that there's going to be PvP balance changes every season. So basically every major patch, they're going to have a once over of that. And that's good. Keep the meta fresh, keep it interesting. Specifically talking about this balance patch, well, there's going to be inaccuracy on the musket. So basically it sounds like if you're moving and shooting, it's going to be like a little bit more inaccurate. And if you stay still, then the accurate reticule will get smaller and you'll be more accurate basically. The hatchet and the greatsword are getting nerfed. The defy death on the hatchet is getting nerfed. So that's pretty much going to go away, I think. We know that Bane is getting buffed on ranged weapons. And it sounds like there's going to be a Fire Staff Light rework. So that sounds pretty interesting. There's going to be more control when crafting. Specifically, they talked about bags and tools. You're going to be able to use golden scarabs or the stopwatch. Didn't really talk about more control on other kinds of crafting, so I don't think that's coming just yet. When you bulk craft, it's now going to actually remember what materials you used, so that sounds pretty good. They're going to increase the first time crafting bonus to 3 times, and they said it's actually going to reset. So what you want to do right now is craft everything once, wait till it's reset, and then craft everything once again if you want to maximize it. They're going to rework some of the XP so that, like for example with cooking, it feels a bit more natural rather than just spamming the boring meals. When ammo drops in the world, like iron cartridges or whatever, it's going to actually scale to your level, so you'll get orichalcum basically with your max level. Wooden coins are somehow going to be used for charcoal to effectively buff the amount you get, I think. And tool tips are going to have the location of the materials. In season 2, they're going to be focusing on fishing and basically making a system where if you use higher tier mats, you'll get more XP. Scott did mention that he's actually saving his items so that he can use them in transmog, so it sounds like you're going to want to save anything you want to use. I know some people were doing that anyway, but he's effectively soft confirmed it there. Honestly, this is absolutely crazy to me in a way. Like, it's so much news just to be delivered so casually just on like a Wednesday afternoon. The expansion, that's going to be huge. A paid season pass, we're going to hear a lot about that. There's going to be a lot of opinions thrown around. It sort of feels like it's unfortunate timing because the feeling with New World right now, not that high, right? People aren't overly happy. I like the sound of it personally, and I can actually possibly get on board. Not really sure about the RNG better roles with that one. That sounds a little bit, you know, dubious, but let's see what we get first. But just absolutely huge day just to be so casually released. And really there's 2 main questions. Is this season pass going to be pay to win? Let's just have that question right now. People are going to ask that question. We need to sort of see what it's going to include. They said better roles. It's going to be a big question. And then this expansion, it's going to be a paid expansion, right? I think we can all appreciate that's what they mean when they say expansion. I'd be surprised if it's free. I mean, there's no real indication it will be. This is the first time they've actually used expansion rather than map expansion. And then the key question there is, are people actually going to come back? I personally believe so. But I think this seasonal pass is perhaps dubious timing and a little bit questionable. They did talk about the PvP influence rework, so that is still coming and that will be like happy with that. Obviously for PvP content, you could argue a new map for Arena is content, but if I'm honest, it's not really that exciting. I don't think that's necessarily what people meant or wanted. We sort of want more outpost rushes than, say, arenas, I believe personally. But that's it, really. I'm not going to keep you any longer. If you want to stay up to date with New World, well, here's the place to be. We're definitely going to have some interesting times. And if you want to support the channel, then becoming a YouTube member or Patreon is truly the best way. Or come and follow me over on Twitch. I might go live tonight talking about these changes. Crazy update. I'll have a think about it. We'll probably get a few videos out of this where we talk about some of the specifics. But yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Have a most beautiful day. Like and subscribe. Goodbye.